Today is Thursday, April 12th, 2018, episode 12 of The Useful Idiots.
Our founding fathers here in this country brought about the only true revolution that has ever taken place in man's history. Every other revolution simply exchanged one set of rulers for another set of rulers. But only here did that little band of men so advanced beyond their time that the world has never seen their like since evolve the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Shut up and sit down.
Over 30 years ago, Paul, Ronald Reagan did that speech.
More than 30 years ago.
Over 30, yeah, that's what I said.
1960s.
1960s. Fast forward 50 years. Do you think Ronald Reagan could have even imagined the landscape of the American culture and society right now?
Not at all. Not from that moment in time. No.
I agree.
It's hard to. I mean, we live in this in society now, and it's hard to imagine the American culture now. I mean,
yeah, I don't like to be the person to bring up George Orwell, 1984. I mean, that's just overused and people. It's a cliche at this point.
We mentioned it a lot last show.
We did, but there's a truth to it that's kind of hard to really ignore. And it's just a consistent move towards a more tyrannical government, less freedoms, less liberties. And that speech, even if I'm not a big fan of Ronald Reagan, that speech was a piece of art. It was a masterpiece. It really is.
You don't hear any politician, any person talking like that now, today, in 2018.
No, I don't think anybody's mind can even grasp that concept really anymore. It's really is an amazing speech. But welcome back, everybody, to The Useful Idiots. I'm Luke.
This is Paul.
And opening up with that, it's a pretty serious note to open up on, but we do have a show that is going to kind of expose a little bit of a move towards less liberties that the government is trying to impose on us. And I found it kind of disheartening to have to read and research it. And I know, Paul, I assume you as well?
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. The two topics that we found for today's show is just... One was, like, ridiculously tragic, talking about the knife control in London.
Without a doubt. Yeah, you're right.
It seems almost silly as Americans because we're like, ha ha ha, like, look at you, you don't have any guns. But then
let's take it one step further, right?
Yeah, then they're just a little bit further down the line than we are. I mean,
yeah, that's true. I mean, they have been moving; they're so far ahead of us on the landscape of Big Brother,
on the way to tyranny.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if they're not already almost there, we talked about obviously China, which we'll touch up on some stuff like that later. But a lot of the first topic we wanted to cover comes from the Department of Homeland Security.
Right here at home.
They have a new program, and right now it's not fully implemented. But they made a post to get a organization to help them or to be hired as the people to do the media monitoring services.
Yeah, they want a database of journalists and media influencers. Now, I wonder, media influencers, that's sort of a new age term, right? Like, I think about somebody on YouTube or Instagram.
That's
when I
exactly
hear the
what they
term media influencer. So I wonder if this list. I mean, we'll get into the details in a minute, but just kind of going off the cuff, I wonder if that list is going to include like Sally Sue selling clothes on Instagram. You know, like one of those Instagrammers. Like, is it going to include that, or just people speaking about the government?
No,
Like
I think it's going to be more like Steven Crowder, being a media influencer in social media. He's a huge YouTube following, and he is somebody who influences the minds of people. So he would be somebody, according to I mean, at least what I believe, according to what they released.
I think they're even going to go after the people selling clothes on Instagram. I really do.
Yeah, I agree
really
with you,
do.
but I don't think that's
that's our top concern, but I think they're going to encompass everything. I mean, if you have a large following and you're selling shoes, like you're gonna get noticed.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, they're gonna have a huge database now to be able to make sure that all that information is right on their fingertips. So the NPPD, the National Protection and Programs Directorate, is a component of the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS. So if we refer to the DHS later, that is the Department of Homeland Security. And the NPPD, their mission is to lead the national effort to protect and enhance the resilience of the nation's physical and cyber infrastructure, which is basically what the media monitoring services is what I just said. So it'll be a contracted organization, is going to provide the National Protection and Programs Directorate and the Office of the Undersecretary the data that they're asking for, which I'm not too sure what the data is going to be, but it is all related to media influence.
It's going to be us.
It'll be us. Yeah, you're right.
What a great time to start a podcast.
Right? Exactly. Just we're a month in. We're
already going to be on a list.
Exactly.
If we weren't on list already.
Yeah, we're already on a list, I'm sure. With the organizations that you and I follow,
yeah,
we're already enemies of the state.
Ooh.
I mean, I wouldn't agree with you. I mean, I would think that we're just freedom lovers, and yet that is an enemy of the state. The state has a very vested interest in ensuring that there's nobody who, I guess, believes in...
They want people dependent on the state.
Yes. They don't believe in constitutional constraints. They don't believe in the freedoms that we believe in, the liberties we believe in.
They just give lip service to the Constitution.
Exactly. Yeah. It's in name only. It's in name only. So the objective, according to the website, was saying that the services shall enable the NPPD to monitor traditional news sources as well as social media, identify any and all media coverage related to the Department of Homeland Security or a particular event. Services shall provide media comparison tools, design and rebranding tools, communication tools, and the ability to identify top media influencers. Now, I should say that the way it's worded, it's because that this is a direct quote from them trying to find a contracted an organization to contract to do this.
Did you get that from the actual post?
I got that from the post, and there's different companies that are bidding to get this. So
it's going to be interesting to see who gets it.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
It's going to be a company that has some sort of connection with the government already. Like somebody's brother works there, and something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be an old.
Maybe I'm just cynical growing up in Chicago, because that's always the way things.
That's how things work here.
Mayor Daley's cousin just so happened to get that city contract. Oh, must have been the best company.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just getting. It's like if you really were able to see it firsthand, like we have, it's just the most insane contracts with with not even a very quality organization or something.
Speaking of the local city of Chicago contracts and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's just how are those potholes doing by your old house, by your mom and dad's house?
I don't know. I can't really get to their house anymore. There's so many potholes.
So many potholes. Yeah, that endless construction that's been going on for as long as I've been alive.
I feel like that's more highways than side streets, though.
Well, they have the one by Midway Airport right now that they've been working on for at least like a year and a half now, which it's been the same street. I forgot what street that is over the Cicero.
LaGrange Road in the suburbs is always under construction too.
Yeah,
either one end of it or the other.
It may be that, I mean, it's probably at least a good 10, 12 years they've been doing that, but they have finally gotten enough of progress done where it's a beautiful street. Like I really have
I
to
don't
say,
know about that.
it's pretty awesome. Okay. Like there used to be a lot of traffic and it has been fixed. So no matter how much I want to hate the government, like, you know, this one actually,
Oh, now you're a statist.
this one actually makes
Statist
my day.
Luke, everybody.
When I drive down there, I get in the third lane and I can get past everybody.
He's a
you know?
shill.
I'm a paid shill. Yeah. So now they do have some tasks that they were looking for from the organization to find what they're going to be looking for. So
This is the definition of socialism, by the way. The government and business working together in cahoots.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is like things that China does. China, for the last episode we just talked about, they hire.
They openly work with the biggest companies in China.
Exactly. Yeah, they hire with contracts to large corporations to do these things, specifically track data from their citizens. So we're doing the same exact thing that China's doing. The only difference is that we're a little more hidden and a little more constrained about it.
It was the media's coverage of this story was very. I mean, it was everywhere, but it was only a small article. Like I wouldn't say there was massive coverage about this story.
Yeah, maybe 3 articles total that I was able
got
to read
like
on it.
CBS News, CNN, Fox, maybe a couple others.
And they all pretty much said the
They're
same
all
thing.
it was all like half of a page maybe.
Yeah.
And they all said the same thing.
Which
Oh, well, I can't wait to get to that quote, by the way.
you want to say it now?
Oh, no. We'll build up to that.
We'll build up to that?
That'll be the crescendo.
Oh, all right, cool. Right. So the tasks included are the ability to track over 290,000 global news sources. Global.
Not just in the United States.
It's not even United States. They don't even try and hide the fact that they're going to expand to spy on everybody's data. They're going to just track everyone's data, all global news, all news sources.
I'm surprised they don't do this. Or some government or agency has to do this.
They already, I mean, I assume that they already do it, but this is like now that they probably want to start enacting more laws, and to do so, they need this in place for them to actually be able to openly start to impose other laws or court cases or things of that nature. So they could probably not really do anything openly before. Now with this, they could say, well, under the Media Monitoring Services Act, we are able to, to put you in jail.
Right.
Or shut down your website, whatever the heck it's going to end up being. So the second one would be the ability to track online, print, broadcast, cable, radio, trade, and industry publications, local sources, national and international outlets, traditional news sources, and social media.
Wait. It didn't say anything about podcast, did it?
I think that would be
Are we safe?
under. No. I'm trying to see if what would be under for them. Social media would most likely be what we are.
Yeah.
Or broadcast possibly. We could be considered broadcast.
Well, we're not on terrestrial radio yet.
Yeah, and we also don't have the
Yet.
license for broadcast yet. We also don't have a license, so they most likely can't maybe categorize us as broadcast.
We're social media. We'd probably be social media influencers.
Yeah, it's very easy to just put us under the umbrella of social media. If we end up trying to argue with them, they'd say, "No, you guys have social media, and it's social and it's media. You guys are social media."
Wow, your government agent sounds very
Yeah.
very not what I imagined.
Not you imagined. Well, that's how I envision them all. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm not really too worried about the next one, but then they want to be able to this organization that will be running this, the ability to create up to 20 searches with each unlimited keywords. So just basically having a database that you can type in keywords and find out all the information that the government's looking for.
And that you could build. They want to build lists based on like beat, location, what kind of outlet, how big the outlet is, and what the role of the journalist is there.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I did not actually.
So like
get
if
that
you
information.
work for say like the New York Times and you cover city politics, they'll be able to search. Okay, who covers New York City politics?
It'll just be Paul, New York City politics, like
Yeah.
comma New York City politics. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is going to be a great database. Also, they're going to have
very useful for us if we wanted to meet other journalists.
yeah, right, networking and everything.
Yeah.
I also read this, and it's not on my list, but the contract also consists of creating an app for phone app with the database involved with it. So I'm not sure if that's just for government workers that are involved with this, being able to have an app on their mobile devices to search all this stuff. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't think this is going to be released to the public. So this has to mean it's just specific government officials being given access on their mobile devices to look these things up.
Now, another thing I noticed is that, you know, the media, traditional media has a leftist slant. I mean, there's no beating around the bush for that. Although a lot of people who lean leftist, they seem to deny that.
It's unbiased, Paul.
Yeah. But outside of that, a lot of the media, they would hint at or suggest that this is a Trump deal and that Trump's against the media. I mean, I could see why they would say that, because they attack Donald Trump every day. Every day if you watch traditional media, that's what they do. They just go after him repeatedly every day. So they took the stance that this is Donald Trump's doing. But man, I don't know. It doesn't seem like this is something
that's been definitely
been
set
in the
up.
works before.
Exactly.
Like,
It's been set up. This has been something that has definitely been trying to be pushed and worked towards for a long time by not Barack Obama only, but George Bush even. Now the internet's only been
the
around
deep
for
state.
Yeah, the deep state.
Yeah, that's right. I just dropped the deep state.
The deep state carries over presidential limits. You know, it's not like as if it is just during the Barack Obama time. It's going to be through George Bush, Barack Obama, Trump.
It's going to keep going.
It's going to be Bill Clinton. It's going to be George H.W. Bush. It's going to be Ronald. It carries on forever. They're always going to be there, and there's no
the bureaucracy.
Yeah, the changing of organizations is not going to.
I wonder if they're just gearing up for the next election. There was so much controversy about the 2016 election, claiming it's Russian agents, saying what role Facebook had. Mark Zuckerberg is currently testifying in front of Congress. I wonder if this is just gearing up for the next election.
Well, that's obvious. I mean, they're just trying to keep as much hatred flowing through the Democrats' blood, the actual populace, so that when 2018 comes around, they're going to vote out all Republicans.
You think there's going to be a blue wave in November?
You know, just 2 episodes ago, we were talking about this,
yeah,
and I actually disagreed with you. I thought that, it's crazy talk. Like, the Republicans are probably still going to show up and do pretty well. No, I definitely think that it's.
I mean, just today, Paul Ryan,
yep,
a big Republican name, just decided he was going to retire from Congress. Now, I'm wondering if there's more to the story than that. He's just saying he wants to be with his family and blah blah blah.
I was listening to Ben Shapiro today, and he, because Ben Shapiro has the show, and I disagree with him on a lot of things, but he has a very good show.
You love him on so many other things.
So many things.
Don't try and say that you're not in love with Ben.
He's
Shapiro.
a legitimate genius. Like he really is that. But he was saying that it's most likely that he understands that if he was to run, he'd end up being the minority leader. It would most likely be a switch in the majority between Republicans to Democrat, or in this 2018, and he didn't want to be the one blamed for not being able to hold up his end of keeping the Republicans in Congress.
That's an interesting theory under the assumption that Republicans are going to lose their ass in November.
Yeah, you'd have to believe that first to do that, but
I mean, maybe Paul Ryan knows something that we don't.
I assume he does.
I mean,
they have analytics that we don't have access to. They're thinking about this years in advance, I'm sure.
The analytics that said Hillary Clinton was going to be president of the United States.
Yeah.
That didn't seem to work.
Still remember when we made the bet that you owed me lunch if Donald Trump won. I called that.
I owe you lunch?
No, you gave it to me.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, I remember.
What did I buy you?
Chipotle.
Oh,
yeah.
That sounds like
I sat down and ate it in the parts department.
at our where we used to work together.
Yeah. So, I think that chances are that there will be a wave of blue. The Democrats will, if not take over as a majority, make a big dent, because right now it's a pretty big,
Republicans have a wide.
Yeah, spread. There's a big spread right now
Yeah.
between Republicans owning the majority in Congress. And
I will say this. Years ago, when the Democrats had both the House, the Senate, and the presidency in Obama's first term, they seemed to get a lot more done. They were all on the same page, except when it came down to passing Obamacare. When they did that, there was some pushback, but they got it through. They rammed it through like Christmas Eve. Remember?
yeah,
And the
Yeah, I do.
Republicans, in contrast, right now the Republicans have the Senate, the House, and the presidency. What have they done? They've hardly done anything. They passed a massive budget that's like putting us further in debt.
well, there's actually a pretty good explanation for that, and I didn't heard this from anybody, but if you really look at it, the Democrats are all on the same page of what do we want to do.
They are.
Whatever we can do to get more government in the lives of the citizens.
Yes.
Whatever.
More
at what-
spending,
no
more
matter
government.
what cost or what we want that. The Republicans on their side, they're split. You know, you have some of them who really strongly want war. You want some that are okay with the growth of government. You have some that are more on the small government side. No, we don't want any of that. Then there's the very large conservative base of the citizenry who want things. They want the small government. So then you got the Republicans trying to play this game of, well, I want to treat
When
the-
they say one thing and do another.
Exactly. So they're trying to appease their base, but at the same time, make sure that they get the political backing from everybody else in Congress. That's just as
The pork.
yeah, you got to get the pork. So it's just like it's very hard for Republicans when they're a little more conflicted when it comes to how they want, because some of them are okay with the growth of government, and the other ones are trying to still appease their base and not grow the government.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's certain Republicans that I would love to see leave Congress or Senate, like that have been there a long time.
I would like it if almost all of them. Could you imagine
Right.
if Mitch McConnell finally got out?
I don't know. Would Paul Ryan have been on the top of my list?
Paul Ryan is
I don't know.
a fool. He was nobody. He didn't keep up any of his promises.
He was such a star, like when he started running with Romney, and then he just kind of like after I remember he got into the debate with Joe Biden, and then ever since then he just kind of was on a downward trajectory.
Well,
you know,
he grew
like,
that prominence because of the Tea Party movement. Because
Yeah.
he really was supposed to be the most fiscal conservative guy out there.
Yeah,
That was what
really,
that's like everything
He
that.
really wasn't though.
Yeah, even I fell for it because I was a little younger then, and I fell for these dumb things like this. Where I even thought that I'm like, oh God, Paul Ryan, finally we have a good candidate up there. Somebody who can actually turn maybe the tides over. I mean, immediately that changed. Like it took
Did-
maybe 2 months, and you're already like, well, that I was lied to again.
We got another John Boehner up
Yeah,
there.
or John Boehner. Yeah, him crying on.
Oh,
I'm so
man.
happy.
Was there worse?
He
Speaker
was
of the
crying
House?
like a baby, like a
I
legitimate
thought you were gonna
baby,
say something else.
like, with a big B.
Yeah.
Yeah, big word, big word.
I mean, I don't even remember. Did Nancy Pelosi ever cry?
Nancy Pelosi's a robot. She can't cry. She'll fry her
Oh
motherboard.
man, does that mean she's gonna be? Suppose the Democrats take back the House. Does that mean she's back?
Technically,
Nancy Pelosi's
yes.
going to be the majority leader,
But
or are
I
they going to
think
go
that,
with somebody else?
I think they're going to try and push her out, because even most people understand that she's kind of a stain on the Democratic Party now. She's done a lot of good in their eyes for the Democratic Party. She's pushed them to a new level of prominence. But man, she is a stain at this point.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just because of the you got to read the bill. We got to pass the bill so you could read what's in it.
She's done that twice now. It's not even once anymore. It's twice. And it was the most recent election, those special elections that were going on very recently in Georgia, and there was another one. But everybody's trying to distance themselves from her. And it was kind of unusual to see that.
Kind of like how you see some Republicans distancing themselves from Trump.
Yeah, exactly. It was the same thing with her. So when you saw that, you kind of realized that maybe it's they're trying to push away from her. Maybe they're trying to move in a new direction, more towards the Elizabeth Warren and
Ooh,
Bernie. Yeah,
I don't know if that's an improvement.
It's not an improvement at all. It's equally bad. And but that's what they believe that the populace is moving towards, is that shift between Trumpism and then that socialism. That
Those are two bad isms, aren't they?
terrible, right? Really, I mean, that's when Rand Paul has to come out of nowhere and sucker punch everybody in the mouth.
Please, Rand Paul.
He doesn't have the. He's a good senator. He's not a good leader.
You don't think he's going to try and run again for president?
Of course he will.
You think he'll try and challenge Trump or no?
Probably not. I mean,
you think there'll be a Republican going against Trump in a primary?
I hope so.
We're getting way off topic here, but
yeah, aren't we? Yeah, we just completely got off. Let's bring it back. How will we bring it back? All right,
we're going to bring it back to Department of Homeland Security monitoring us probably for all the things that we just talked about here.
Yeah. Sorry to get off on the. We completely got off course there, everybody. But
we got to talk about Paul Ryan, though.
Yeah, it kind of like really. Yeah, we'll talk about him in a future episode. But I think we got our points across for most things. We could talk for hours about these things, obviously, and it just like you just keep on going off in this bunny trail, you know. But let's bring it back because we do have some important things to bring up about this.
I still didn't get to my quote yet.
Yeah. Do you want to do that now, or do you want me to talk? Do you want me to do my segment? My little.
Oh, you still got a lot more you got to say, right?
I got a lot I'm going to say. Would you like to hold off until then? Because technically, you can call me what they say at the end. You could do this. You could do the quote after I say everything.
All right. Yeah, let's do that.
It's a great idea.
It'll be the signature.
Yeah. You call it a crescendo?
Yeah, crescendo. Yes.
All right. So if everybody remembers, we just talked about China and its expansive government last episode, which I do advise everyone go listen to if you haven't yet. It's episode 11. But China is a country who has access to all the media of its news agencies and social media, and they use that broad brush of data collection to imprison journalists. Last year, I don't remember how many numbers they had, but it was about 100 journalists that they imprisoned last year, which is wild. I mean, these imprisoned journalists just for spreading dissent, you know. So I'm not saying that we are to the point of China or that it's even going to be soon. But this idea is spreading across the globe. Yeah, I mean, to much of the world right now, you have Europe and a lot of places in Europe that are believing in silencing dissenting opinions. And we should just be ensuring that we don't give the government the tools available to enact this horrible idea of silencing opinions in speech. So there were a few incidences that have happened over about the past 6 years. Dating back to 2009 when Obama was kind of like still in his first year, there was a lot of things that were going on that were under the radar, that a lot of people, there's a little bit of outrage. And I even saw like NBC sometimes, like I watched a couple videos before this of CNN actually going after Obama's presidency on some of these issues, which I was impressed.
They went after Obama on
They went
something?
after Obama. They went after Eric Holder. But they also mentioned Obama being that, you know, he was the president, that Eric Holder was.
Eric Holder was the attorney general at the time.
Yeah. So.
Who is considering a presidential run, by the way.
Really?
Yes. I saw a little blurb about that.
I don't know. Who's going to vote for that guy? Maybe they know something I don't, you know? Yeah.
I don't know if it's official or if he didn't declare anything, but he's considering it right now.
Well, okay. Well, we'll see how that turns out.
Could make for some interesting future Useful Idiots episodes.
I think that in America right now, everything is useful for Useful Idiots show.
We could do this every day if we wanted
exactly. To. It's every single day we have new topics to talk about, and we just can't cover them all. So a few things that happened. Now, the first thing I want to get off is that a lot of this is kind of up in the media right now. We talked about it earlier about how Trump is talking. Really, he's kind of talking about increasing the libel laws. You know, he is a little angry about the media kind of going after his character.
A little angry?
A little angry, very angry, yeah. The media coverage is against him. We know that. But that doesn't mean that you don't expand the libel laws because of that. You're the president. Get your act together. So one example would be Washington Post openly criticizes Trump. You know, it's kind of commonly known. You can read it and you'll understand that. But the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos. And Trump just so happens to be targeting Amazon with their tax loopholes that they're able to get through.
Tweets every day making Amazon's stock price tank.
Yeah, sucks for you, doesn't it?
Just a little bit.
He's a Amazon shareholder.
Shh.
So because of Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and I'm pretty sure Trump is basically trying to go after Amazon's tax loopholes because of the fact that Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and Washington Post criticizes Trump. It's not even really hidden that that's actually what's going on, but if you kind of connect the dots, that's what's going on. He is he's a petulant child at times. You know that?
At much of the time.
Much of the time, yeah. So we have to be careful when you give power to a president because they can overuse that power. In a situation right now, we can see what he wants to do just because he dislikes somebody.
It's kind of funny how the left and the right, they more or less don't care when their guy has all the presidential power. But then when the other side is in, oh no, they have all this power. It's like...
Now, you could have stopped that when your guy was in.
We could limit the government. There's that idea, but nobody wants to
nobody
do that.
likes that idea. You just got to wait 4 to 8 years and you'll be able to, put your stuff back into power.
Yeah. It's just one team against another team.
Exactly.
That's all politics is nowadays.
Mm-hmm. With no actual care for the people. It really
they
isn't.
just want their side to win.
Yep. So, so we're gonna go back to Eric Holder now, because in 2013, Eric Holder got a warrant to check the phone records and the emails of a gentleman named James Rosen. He is a contributor on Fox News. They said that they were able to get the warrant because he was a possible, quote-unquote, co-conspirator under the Espionage Act. So what James Rosen did was he reported information about North Korea's nuclear weapons program. And he got that information from an unnamed source from North Korea. Now, I believe that they do have a source that they, if you go back and watch NBC.
The source was from North Korea?
Yeah, they said Mr. Kim, I believe his name was.
Okay.
So there is actually a source that I did find. But it was just the fact that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, was given access to his personal and business phone records. It wasn't even just who possibly could have told him this information with the business phone records. No, they need his personal records, which apparently was access to his phone calls between his parents. So that means that they could just get whatever phone calls they want. There's no limits on this warrant.
No oversight.
No oversight. They just got all things, all emails, all phone records. Just because the government did not want or did not like the fact that he found out this secret information about North Korea and its nuclear weapons program. So there was another incident where the Justice Department, in 2012, so it was like right around this, the Justice Department secretly collected 2 months of telephone records from the Associated Press and over 100 of its journalists because they found leaked information about the CIA surveillance of Al-Qaeda. So CIA was secretly surveying Al-Qaeda and all of its operations. Now,
I wonder how that got leaked out.
Yeah, I actually do wonder that one, but the Associated Press got it. They got the information and they released the fact that the CIA foiled a plot about an underwear bomb.
Okay.
Some people
Sounds
might
like
remember
a good
that.
thing that you would want to get out if you were the CIA. You know, like you could say like, "Hey, look at what we did. We foiled this plot."
Wow, I didn't even think about that side of it, the conspiratorial side of it.
I wasn't even necessarily trying to think.
No, you're just pointing out. You're kind of pointing out connections.
I mean, if you're the CIA, I mean, wouldn't you want some good? Of course you're very secretive, but wouldn't you want some good publicity now and again?
Most definitely. So, but what happened was that the Justice Department was given the ability to record, to get the telephone records and emails of over 100 journalists, all because they believed this was a national security threat. The fact that they found this and released it.
Oh, so it was done in the name of national security.
It was done in the name of national security. And one more thing. Now, of course, me and you disagreed with this. We talked about it before the show. But on Glenn Beck's radio program, he made a kind of like a joke. And it might have been a bad joke. I don't really know. I didn't like the joke. It wasn't funny. But he made a comment about stabbing what sounded to be Donald Trump on the debate stage
when he was a candidate.
When he was a candidate.
Was that when Glenn Beck was all in for Ted Cruz?
Yeah, exactly. He was all in for Ted Cruz. He was even supporting him in this segment. And then he kind of said, if I was next to Donald Trump, I would have stabbed him, and I would have kept stabbing him. And it was kind of
bad.
It was a bad joke. It wasn't good, and
he used to call. I remember Glenn Beck. I didn't listen too much during that time period, but I remember Glenn Beck calling Trump supporters brown shirts during that time. Do you remember that too?
Oh, I don't remember that. I remember him crying with that child, talking about how Ted Cruz is the savior.
Child. Oh, that was weird, man.
Yeah, another really weird when grown men cry like profusely. It's very strange.
You know what? Like we should do like maybe a future show on how Donald Trump's election changed the media. At least on the right side.
It
the
had a
right-wing
massive
side.
impact on a lot of people that we respected, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't so high on Glenn Beck then, but man, he just went down
Yeah,
for
he-
me. Like after that, like with the Ted Cruz thing, like supporting Ted Cruz so much. I mean, I don't. If we rise to prominence and like, have to cover elections, like, are we gonna support one candidate over another? Like, I would imagine we'd try and be as neutral as possible.
Yeah,
at
mainly
least in the
because
primaries.
we pretty much dislike everybody. Like, we think that
we
everybody...
could rip on everybody equally.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe some people less than others. You know what I mean? Like, it just...
I don't know if we could rip on Rand. Rand Paul would have to do something really bad for
Well,
us.
we've
to-
ripped on Rand Paul before. I think in, like, episode
you
2 or something.
You just
like that.
said, and you said that he's not good enough to be president.
No, he's a senator. He definitely is a senator. He's not a leader. There's a big difference. And I love the guy. You know what I mean? Like, he is not as great as his father, Ron, but he's the best guy in Congress that we have right now. So...
Well, he's in the Senate. You might,
Sorry, yeah.
sorry. You might be able to argue that Rand has more success than Ron. Now, Ron might be the godfather of the libertarian movement, but Rand's a senator, and his father was a congressman. So
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of make the point that Rand has more success. Now, Rand's also younger, so
And had his foot in the door with his father being a
right,
pretty successful man
I
at that
mean,
point.
Yeah. So I mean, the future is still bright for Rand Paul, I think.
Yeah.
Ron, obviously, in the later years of his life.
85. He's
Yeah.
like really old at this point.
Oh wow, but man.
But he still makes content every single day, which
He
is
does.
wild.
He does. God bless him for that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what we'll be doing at 85 or however old he is, but
I'd be okay if I was dead at that point.
useful. What episode of the Useful Idiots will we be on by then?
Oh man, I don't even want to do the math on that. That's okay. Let's just get back to this. The problem with that Glenn Beck moment is that the Secret Service showed up to his studio after that. Now, if you listen to that, it's obvious it was a joke. It was a weird joke, and it was like I've made like comments when I was younger that man, if Hillary Clinton was right next to me right now, I'd push her down that staircase.
Yeah, that's pretty that's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, but as you mature, you kind of realize like, okay, that's kind of a weird joke. I mean, it's not even a joke; it's just more than like a dumb comment that you make.
Well,
And you wouldn't actually do it, but it's just something that you say. And it's the same exact situation with Glenn Beck. It was said the same exact way that you would say something of that nature.
You know what? Now that I think about it too, wasn't Glenn Beck putting his own money into the Ted Cruz campaign at that point in time?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I remember hearing something about that, so he may have been feeling a little frustrated about how the election was going at that point in time.
Yeah, good. That's possibly true. I'll have to look into that at least. But so the Secret Service showed up. So that means that they're watching the media enough to know that Glenn Beck said that, and then they sent the Secret Service to a studio. Which, I mean, I don't really like the fact that that's that easy. Like, I mean, if we say something on somewhat of on a live stream, the fact that we could say something like that and then someone's gonna come and I mean, that's gonna give us great press. But like, it's just terrifying to know that that's how quick that they can act on something like that. So
yeah, it really is kind of scary.
Yeah.
And is it only gonna get worse if they try and compile this list like they're saying, like Department of Homeland Security wants to do?
Yeah, that's exactly. So like, it kind of like concludes to the fact that the government, if given the ability to control news based on such things as like national security, they will always have an excuse to control the media. We're in a perpetual war in the Middle East. We define all wars with broad terms. We have the war on terror. We have the war on poverty. We have the war on drugs. If we're in a constant state of war for everything, that's always going to be a national security threat. You can claim anything to be a national security threat. Anything can be open to be national security. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what they do.
That's exactly what they do. So like, there's no definition. There's no defining what the law is. There's no defining what they can attack you for.
It's whatever they want it to
It's
be.
whatever they want it to be, and they could blanket it with whatever they want, whatever term. So, we have the freedom of the press in this country. People will say it's conspiratorial to claim that these rights will be infringed upon. But is it? We have a right to bear arms in this country as well, Paul. And that's been infringed upon. So who's to say that there won't be a redefinement of the freedom of the press where fake news, hate speech, or national security are reasons used to limit our basic liberties laid out in our founding documents as natural rights. It's I see it as most likely that that's going to happen. They're going to start infringing further and further upon our rights.
It's been happening.
Yeah, you're right.
It's been happening, and it's going to continue to happen. It's going to get worse.
But, hey, man, I'm just a conspiracy nut, right?
Speaking of conspiracy theorists, we'll finally get to the quote that I kind of mentioned there. The Department of Homeland Security spokesman, Tyler Q. Holton, tweeted this the day that story came out about Department of Homeland Security compiling the database of journalists and media influencers. He tweeted, and I quote, "Despite what some reporters may suggest, this is nothing more than the standard practice of monitoring current events in the media." Now that hold on, let's just stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds pretty standard for like what a government official would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Despite what some reporters may suggest, this is nothing more than the standard practice of monitoring events in the current events in the media. Now he goes on to say, quote, "Any suggestion otherwise is fit for tin-foil hat-wearing black helicopter conspiracy theorists." Now, to me, isn't that a bit overkill? Isn't that going a little bit over the top? He sounds like he's getting a little defensive there, isn't he?
Yeah, as if he has to really ensure that if you could possibly believe anything other,
you're a nut job.
You're a nut job.
I mean, compiling a list of journalists in a database, that sounds, tyrannical.
That's it. Yeah,
I was trying to think of a different word than Orwellian. I used that a lot last episode.
Yeah, tyrannical is a good term. Yeah, so apparently we're just nut jobs. We're tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists.
By the way, Lance DeHaven Smith, an author, wrote a book called Conspiracy Theory in America. He claims that the term conspiracy theory was developed by the CIA as a means of discrediting critics of the Warren Commission when they were investigating President Kennedy's assassination.
Mind-blowing, I swear. It was just like you sent me that article, and I really don't know the truth of it.
I haven't read the book yet. I did order it on Amazon.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I'm very happy that you're willing to do that. I was so stunned when you sent me that because it just, it makes sense.
I've heard that idea that the CIA created the term conspiracy theorist before, or not created it, but used it in a way to discredit people.
Yep.
And now here we have it in black and white. Somebody from DHS is calling people tinfoil hat wearing black helicopter conspiracy theorists. I mean, why go that far?
Yeah.
I know we said this already, but
it's because they want to discredit anybody that believes that. As soon as anybody, it was on CNN, was that article?
It was in a few places. That quote was in a number of places.
Yeah. So let's just make that known that anybody who follows and believes those articles and read that and thinks that it was written in a good light by whoever the writer was, the author was of those articles, is going to immediately discredit anybody who disagrees with what or believes that this could be used
dangerous.
Yes, used as more of is more dangerous than it is. So now we have a split in the society of the people who are going to call everyone else nut jobs, while the other people are going to think that the other people are just ignorant wearing blinders. And I think that they're ignorant wearing blinders.
I've been called a nut job a few times already.
A few times?
A few times in the last week.
There you go. All right, Paul. Let's wrap it up just for now on this one. We're going to come back, talk about another incident overseas, right across the pond in England. And I think it's going to be pretty shocking for a lot of people if they haven't heard it yet. So we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Useful Idiots. My name is Paul. Luke over here. We're coming back to talk about some interesting news out of London. Didn't really think that our show would be talking about London, at least in this instance. London Mayor Sadiq Khan announced broad new knife control policies. That's right. It's kind of interesting. Living here in America, where we talk about gun control, every time there's a mass shooting, weeks and weeks and weeks of gun control. I guess there shouldn't be mass shootings. That's like a whole nother topic. But gun control every day in the news. It's kind of died down actually recently, hasn't it?
Yeah, it
I don't
has.
know how much mainstream media you watch.
I don't watch any. No, I watch very little, as little as possible, I should say. But
It's they're more focused on the Trump scandals right now, it seems like.
yeah, it died down because of the fact that there was such a divisiveness that came up from that.
I still see a little David Hogg every now and again.
Well, that's the thing, is that David Hogg created a lot of that. So what happened was that people, they realized that they weren't winning. It was so divided that they realized that they just made one side angry, and they realized that that wasn't going anywhere. So it had to stop. This is still, every single time this happens, it's another attempt to see how much they can push the narrative that we need to take guns. And it got to the point where they actually tried something new this time. They brought in the kids to actually do it, to actually be the spokespeople.
And you can't criticize them.
Can't criticize them, of course. Yeah, that's why they brought him on. They knew that they got it this time. They got a master plan, and
It's kind of ingenious in their own sinister way.
And this is the furthest we've ever seen this movement get. And then it got to the point where they realized, like, why are we listening to kids again? And it kind of the truth kind of like really came to light, and people kind of backed off of it. And it should be expected, but that doesn't mean that next time they won't try again, and it won't make more headway, you know?
Well, speaking of a place where it's made some headway, London, where guns are not so readily available, they have a problem with knife crime. People are killing each other with knives over there.
More deaths by knives than New York City, correct?
Oh, the murder rate is higher
rate
than New York City, even though they don't really have guns over there. So that's caused a lot of outrage and panic over there.
Kind of shoot some holes in the whole argument of guns being the reason for crime too, right?
Right? Like, shouldn't the question be, why are people committing murder? No matter what the weapon is,
Yeah,
whether it's a car, a truck, a gun, or a knife.
Or acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are people doing it, and how do we prevent them from doing it? Isn't that the fundamental question that we should be trying to do?
Yeah.
Like, do we need more police? Do we need more community outreach programs? Is it mental health? It's a combination of things. There's no simple answer.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a, hey, here's a Band-Aid.
Right, and what do our politicians do, whether it's over here or in London, is they go for the weapon that the people are trying to use. I mean, they're just going to, if you take away the weapon, whatever it is, they're just going to change tactics.
Well, it's easier to get the people.
And also, criminals don't give up their weapons.
Yeah, even if, yeah, exactly. Only that's perfect.
What were you going to say?
It's just that, I forgot what I was actually going to say. It doesn't, just go on, continue.
But the a couple articles that I said is Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, wants new policies designed to keep quote unquote weapons of war out of Londoners' hands. Weapons of war. Are soldiers even issued knives at this point in time?
Well, I know that my mom was issued a knife in the kitchen. Yeah.
Issued a knife.
Yeah, she's got her own issues of knives. Yeah, she got a whole bunch of. She actually has a lot of knives in the kitchen.
So they're gonna do a police crackdown, a ban on deliveries of knives and acid to people's homes. So you can't order a knife or an acid online. I don't know how they're gonna track that. Probably some Orwellian. It's probably in some Orwellian way that we don't know about yet. Sadiq Khan on Twitter said, quote, he said, "No excuses. There is never a reason to carry a knife. Anyone who does will be caught, and they will feel the full force of the law."
Wow.
Now that's going to make a lot of people feel safe, right? I'm not saying that maliciously or facetiously. Look at the people that, people in America. There's a lot of people in America that don't care about gun control in the sense that people's rights are being trampled on. They want to take the Second Amendment away. A lot of people just want to feel safe. They want to feel secure. And they think that by taking guns and knives away from other people, that they're safer. But really they're not. And it's hard to convince people of that. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, actually, that was sounded really good.
You're just looking at me there.
Yeah, well, no, because you were doing so. You were really hitting the point there. And I just didn't feel like I needed to actually add anything to it. Wow, keep going.
So the parliament over there is going to take up knife control legislation when it resumes. I don't know if it's later this week or next week. But they're going to try and introduce a ban on online knife sales, knife home deliveries, make it illegal to possess zombie knives and knuckle dusters, which I think you looked up what zombie knives and knuckle dusters were.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. They're the knives.
You kind of want one now.
I
huh?
do, yeah. They're the knives with the brass knuckles built into the handle.
Oh, okay. So you could punch and stab. Kinda?
I think it's punch and stab, and probably for more control. You won't lose the knife because it's really locked into your hand. So
it says here, zombie knives are those defined as being manufactured for the purpose of being used as a person-to-person weapon. And they're gonna try and keep. They're also launching a $63 million program to keep young Londoners from getting caught up in crime. They're doing a public service campaign, London Needs You Alive, Don't Carry a Knife awareness campaign, targeted at teenagers.
really,
Yes.
this is a whole strange thing.
Right?
Yeah.
As an American, it's kind of strange to hear this. You might hear similar things in America about guns, but not really knives at all.
Well, what happens though when the crime doesn't necessarily drop that far, and it all turns out that it's just people beating people to death?
Yeah, like
What happens
what
then?
if it turns
Bats.
into
What if
clubs or
yeah,
bats?
clubs, bats,
or,
your fists. I mean, there's so many things that you could always find that'll hurt people. It just depends on how brutal you want the death to be now.
You know,
Am I
like,
gonna
well,
beat-
they have a lot of problems. You hear a lot of things in Europe about people driving cars. And other people, are they going to ban cars? I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're gonna be. It happened in New York City. You know, the guy went up on the curb and started running over people in the truck.
yeah. I mean,
If you want to find a way to kill somebody, you're going to find a way to kill somebody.
And
If you want to steal someone's wallet, you're going to find a way to steal the wallet.
and people are going after what the weapons are. We said this a few minutes ago. The gun or the knife or whatever it is. That's not. Why do people want to kill other people? That's the real question.
It is a heck of a question.
And how do you stop it?
Yeah.
How do you prevent it?
Because you look at the situation, and I mean, it's just not jump into a weird, a whole different section here. But in 1950, there was more guns per person. Like in every household had more guns per person than it does now. There was never a mass shooting before. All of a sudden, 1996 hits, and now you have a mass shooting.
Columbine.
Columbine and on. And now it's a regular occurrence now, which is a terrible thing.
A couple times a year in the country, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's that, but
Is it that frequently? It seems like it's that.
it does seem
frequently.
like that because of, I mean, obviously it has been happening more often, but I don't think it's that often. It's not that. It's not a.
I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not funny.
Neither one of us should, but it's just that. So obviously, it's not the guns being the problem, because there's always been guns. And there's been higher rates of gun ownership. So what is happening?
What's different in society?
What's different in society that now this is happening? It's a very strange occurrence that it just so happens that it's the late 90s and on. So
Wasn't there some kind of thing with Joe Biden and a law banning guns from school? Were guns allowed in certain classrooms before, and now they're not?
I'm not sure, but I know that they were stocking up on buckets of rocks and putting them inside of classrooms to defend. Yeah,
you mean recently?
Yeah, Pennsylvania. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, mine's
that's-
more recent. Yeah, I think Pennsylvania was loading up buckets of rocks so you can defend yourself from the guy with the gun with that bucket of rocks. And that's real for anybody who just thinks I'm.
No,
screwing
I
around.
heard that story. I also saw that. I didn't read the article, but there was a blurb that said Parkland school funding rejected to arm teachers. So like they were trying to pass, someone was trying to pass some sort of measure to allocate funding to arm teachers in Parkland, and it got shot down. So there you go. I mean, they're gonna have to fend them off with rocks, I guess.
Yeah, I understand if you don't want all the teachers with guns. That's insane. But maybe what you do is you have like a company-wide list that you can sign up on. You can get some training for guns, and then the people who signed up in the school for whatever teacher signed up and trained is able to carry it. All the other teachers that decide that they don't want that don't have to. but you just have.
Do schools even have private security guards?
Well,
Were
mine
you
did. Yeah, mine did.
Yours when you
Well,
went?
it wasn't private. It was a cop. It was a police officer.
So you actually had a police officer in your school?
Mhm,
Just
yeah.
one or like
Yeah,
many?
Officer O'Neill, just one.
Just one, and he had a gun and everything?
Yep. He was actually a really awesome guy, and he was on top of stuff. You know, anytime there was a problem, he was a big man, like maybe 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Around there. And there's times you would just be walking through the hallway in the middle of class, you know, when it's empty, and you just saw him booking it down the hallway. This man was bigger than anybody else I knew, and we ran faster than anyone else I knew. But he was on top of everything. He made sure that there's no problems, and there weren't any problems. Now, I knew kids that killed other kids in my school, murders, like
Really?
legit. Oh yeah, yeah, a few. And what's odd about it is that they never came to school and did anything. Now, we had an armed officer there, and everybody knew about Officer O'Neill. It was impossible not to know about him. You didn't want to mess with Officer O'Neill. He was a guy that he really made it very clear, I'm here to make sure that everything runs smooth. And there was never a problem.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah.
You should pitch that to Congress.
Do you think they'd listen to me? I mean, they listen to 17-year-old kids.
He's
so.
just a useful idiot. Get him out of here. So, yeah, in London, they're going to try and ban knives, acid. Who knows what's next? Could be coming here in America.
Yeah, they'll start chopping off fists or hands just to make sure they can't.
No one can leave their house.
Yeah, no
Curfew
one
is now in effect.
Yeah. All right. Well, Paul, unfortunately, we have to kind of end it on that note. That was a pretty insane thing to end off on.
Curfew's coming.
Yeah, curfew's coming and for everybody. But I do want to thank everyone for tuning in for today's episode. Please be a useful idiot. Subscribe to us on YouTube at The Useful Idiots Show. Follow us on Twitter at Useful Idiots Show. And subscribe and rate the podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen. And visit our website at usefulidiotsshow.com. We do, of course, expect to see you back for the next episode.